you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This is another of our popular Listener's Choice interviews, which we're playing over the weekend. We've chosen the most popular interviews for you to select the Listener's Choice winner. If you're not sure how the Listener's Choice competition works, have a look at horsechats.com/choice for the rules and the leaderboard. Today's chat's been brought to you by International Horse College. International Horse College's motto is people safety and horse welfare, and you'll find this message throughout our chats. Registered Training Organisation number 31352. Today, we're going to introduce you to Jane Hemingway-Mohr. Now, Jane is an equine facilitated learning coach. She's going to talk to us quite a lot about that, and she's going to talk to us about the difference between an equine facilitated learning coach and talk about equine therapy and psychologists and what the differences are there. But I'm looking forward to talking to her about this because there's quite a lot of research done into equine facilitated learning, and it's great to have someone here that can guide us through that maze of information. How are you today, Jane?
I'm very well, thank you, Glenys. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
That's okay, Jane. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you as well. Yeah. Now, Jane, normally we start off with a favourite quote. It gets everyone to know you a little bit better. What have you got for us?
Oh, well, my very favourite quote is, when you can choose anything, when you can choose to be anything, choose kind. I think that's my very favourite quote of all time.
I think that's one that could be used in a lot of situations, and if it had been used in a lot of situations, it might have stopped a few world wars as well.
Exactly. That's the way I feel about it. I think, there's another one that says, you don't speak, if it's not kind and not necessary, and then why say it? Think before you speak, sort of thing. So exactly right. That's the sentiment that I like.
Sometimes kind is better than doing
right.
the right. That's right. It's the right thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
What's the kind thing to do here? Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Now, Jane, I know we're going to talk a lot about equine facilitated learning, which is your specialty.
Yes.
Normally we talk about how people started with horses, but how did you start with the equine facilitated learning? What brought you to that area within the horse industry?
Well, it is obviously intertwined with my love and passion for horses and where I started with horses. But I've been in this field for over 3 years now. And the way it started for me was I had finally had a dream come true and moved to a property where I could live with my own horses. And I also had other people's horses boarding at my property. And I just could see the effect that these animals have on people, even people who weren't what we'd call horsey people. So, for example, we'd have people bringing their kids here to ride or something, and they may be even frightened or whatever. And over time, I saw how their horses affected these people, where coming here became their happy place rather than anything else. So it was just that special effect that horses can have on absolutely everybody, whether you're horsey or not.
Yes, I think many of us have experienced that.
Yeah.
What made it though? You've sort of gone into the specialty. I suppose, were you already teaching before that or not? How did that come about?
Well, no, with this specialty, it was more that I could see more to horses than just the riding. And don't get me wrong, I'm a rider myself, and I love riding horses. I really do. It's another passion of mine. But I could just see that there was so much more that horses could give to people. And I wanted to share this kind of insight that I felt I had with a broader community. And it was hard to find a way to do that because growing up, I was always the little girl who just loved all animals, especially horses and dogs and things like that. And as my dad would say, I would say dogs are people too, if you want to say anything, because I felt that they just, we just relate to animals like that. So just being able to bring this insight to a broader community, it really got me thinking and seeing how I could do that in a way that would actually appeal to people who may not have thought of this avenue before, to kind of reflect on themselves as well.
So thinking about the type of person, the character traits, the core skills that could be interested in this sort of career, because there's lots of careers within the horse industry. And
absolutely, yeah.
People are generally passionate about the horses, but there's different personalities and different types of people that go into different areas within the horse industry. What type of person goes into equine facilitated learning to come more as a mentor, as a coach or a facilitator to those?
Well, I think that some of the key things are that it's a different way of looking at horses, and it's a very different way of working with horses than, say, if you're teaching riding or you're a rider yourself. You're really looking to the horse. You're almost inviting the horse into the conversation with the people, rather than, say, if you go somewhere to ride, you get your horse, you tack your horse up, and you have kind of a goal in mind for that lesson. So in a way, even though obviously there is a definite partnership between horse and rider, absolutely there has to be, it is more that the rider does have to control the horse. That element control is on a different level, because we're not controlling the horse. The horse is actually part of our team as an equal member. So in fact, maybe not even an equal member, we refer to them as our teachers of life skills. So that's the way we refer to our horses. So you've got to be open-minded to look at the horses in a different way. So that's one thing. And another thing is just a desire to, I'd say, inspire and help other people. If you want to marry those two things up, so your passion for horses and how you can see horses helping people, and that you want to help people yourself, that's just the perfect type of person to be for this career.
Okay, good. And then for those people, what do you think is the best thing about having a career in equine facilitated learning?
Well, for me, there's a lot of things. Firstly and foremostly is it's just such a fulfilling career. Not a day goes by when we don't do a program where something happens where I've gone, my gosh, we really, had an impact on that person's life, and that's amazing. And it just makes you appreciate your horses so much more every time you work with them as well. And that's the other thing, just working with the horses every day. It's just so fulfilling, and they teach you so much about yourself. I often say to people that, they say, wow, you're working with, say, youth at risk, or you're working with women's groups, or you're doing a team development day or whatever. That must be amazing. I'm saying, yes, but I learn just as much about myself each time, I think, that my participants do as well. So in that way, it is extreme. And another thing that we've found too is, as a horsey family, we've got a couple of our, my EAL team, I call them, my equine assisted learning team of horses. It's basically made up of our retired horses that we used to compete, and the kids that go to pony club and things like that. So it's lovely that they can remain with us and still have a beautiful purpose in life. And really, they've been my inspiration to set this up as well. Particularly one of my horses, who I feel like she's been there for me through ups and downs of my life. And so it's wonderful that she and the rest of the team can do this for other people. So
it is good, isn't it? When you've got competition horses that may be getting a little bit older and not as strong and don't have the movement and the fitness and everything to compete, at least they can be doing something that they're happy with. They're happy with the slower pace, and, I'm sure people are happy as well.
Exactly right. And it does take a special kind of horse as well. So the horses need to enjoy the work. So, yes, you're right. In one way, it's not physically taxing on the horses. It's not. We don't do any riding. So it really is working with your horse as a team member from the ground, so that you can actually kind of read his body language and what he's telling you or she's telling you. So there is that. So it's not as taxing physically, you can imagine. But they take on a lot emotionally. So you have to be mindful that you can't be running several programs a day, all day, every day. So it's too taxing on yourself and on your horses, because you take on so much of what your participants bring into your arena or wherever you're working with your horses.
Yeah, yeah. I want to hear, because we all love good news stories, and I know that this type of work has an impact on lots of people. You talked about youth at risk and women's work, but do you have a case study or something that you can tell us about that you might want to talk about?
Yes. Look, just recently we did an 8-week program with some youth from one of the PCYC organisations,
Yes.
so Police, Youth and Community Club. And it was a first time they'd done one of these external type programs with the youth. And they were quite hard to crack, I'll say, because it was quite different for them to come out and work with the horses.
Mm-hmm.
But at the conclusion of the 8 weeks, and we had some people who dropped out, I'll admit that, and, didn't think it was cool enough and all that sort of stuff. These are teens, by the way. But these are teens that have kind of crossed the boundaries a little bit in terms of they are in the eye of the police. They may have a record, or they're not going to school, all those sort of things.
Yep.
So they joined the program, and at the end of the program, I was very, very proud to look back over we keep a record of what the people experience, so they're actually able to at the end of each program just write down how they felt about what they got out of it, anything from their heart really, how they felt
Yes.
about the day, what they got out of it, what they learned from it, and that's theirs to keep. But what we do is we keep it until the end of the program, the entire program,
Yep.
and hand it back to them with a certificate of completion. And we'd done a little a slideshow of some photos with them with the horses, and I was able to say to them, look at the horses with you guys. When I showed the photos, and I said, and now I'll show you some photos of these same horses with other people. And these people are like leaders of businesses, or they are university students or something like that. And I said, now look at them. My horses are telling me that there's a lot of good in you, so I want you to have that as a real takeaway. The kids that are in trouble a lot, people don't believe in them, so the situation perpetuates. And that was a really lovely moment that I was able to say to them, and that they got out of it that, the horses see the good in them. So I hope that they take that away, because the horses aren't judging them at all. They're just reacting and responding to who the person, the authentic person is.
Yes.
So
yes.
that was really lovely.
That's good, isn't it? Is that the type of thing that makes you most proud?
Yeah, I have to admit it is. So we do a lot of work with youth at risk. We have a group that comes once a week during the school terms here in New South Wales, and we do a lot of work with them, and just some of the stories that come out of it and what they get from the horses really do make us proud. And that's something we actually do once a week with this particular not-for-profit. We actually do pro bono, so we donate our time and our horses and everything, because that's how much we love to do this work and how fulfilling it is for us. And as I said, we get just as much out of it as the teens that are coming.
Yep.
So it's just great.
It's good, good. So tell us the difference between equine-assisted or equine-facilitated learning and the type of equine-facilitated learning where we need to have an additional person, like in therapy or a psychologist. Tell us the two different avenues there, or what the requirements are. Yeah.
So I'd say that the main difference is that we are not therapy. Our programs are based on just developing life skills for people.
Okay.
So, clear communication, trust, listening, looking at body language, all that sort of thing. And through that, and working with an animal that weighs half a ton, people grow in self-esteem and self-confidence when they're, getting through the programs, using all these different skills that they learn, and they build on it. So I'd say that the big difference is that, we're not therapists, and our strength lies in the fact that we actually don't know the full background of the people who are coming to
yes.
Our program. So the thing is, obviously, if you're a therapist or a counsellor, a therapist, it is your job to know that, because you need a strategy to help the person deal with what they're dealing with. So with us, we have psychologists and counsellors referring people to us, but we don't know. We might know in general. Say I just said with the police group, we knew in general the kids were in a bit of trouble. That's all I knew about them, right?
Yep.
Didn't know if one was addicted to something, if one, no idea. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think there's a strength in that, because that gives me as a facilitator that very, I don't have that. We all have sort of unconscious biases,
yes,
and they can be positive or negative, but without knowing a background of a person, that removes that as well. So I think that gives strength in our facilitation, that we are just facilitating what we see on the day and how our horses are responding to our participants.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It just takes that away.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Because now I'd like to talk about the challenge, I think, of talking to people about what you do and introducing yourself to businesses, like introducing yourself to PCYC or different programs. If you go in and say, well, we've got this program where we've got horses, but you don't actually ride the horses, and it's all about life skills, and we really deal with, Ruth, like what challenges is there that people don't understand, or what other challenges would there be?
There absolutely are challenges that people don't understand. So there's a few ways around that. The way we describe it is, as I said to you before when we were chatting previously, our competition is actually not other horsey or equestrian or equine businesses. Mm-hmm. Our competition out there is actually other, life skills programs, personal development programs, team development and leadership training programs. They're our main competition. So you have to go in with a different way of pitching it, because our competition are other, self-development, life skills development programs, team development or team building and leadership programs. Mm-hmm. So they're our competition. So if we go in, you're exactly right. If we go in and say we have this great program with horses, you might get the HR person who goes, oh, I love horses, I'll listen to you. Or you might get someone who just totally switches off. So it's not how you go in. You go in saying the benefits to the company. So as you would with pitching anything that you're going to sell, you do your research about who you're talking to, and you say, right, well, okay, let's see, this is a company which is quite, they have various isolated sales components or something. So, let's talk about maybe a team building activity that will bring all those people together, and look at it that way. And then talk about, once you've sort of hooked them in with how we have programs where we have, we always achieve our objectives. That's how our programs are designed.
Yes.
There's irrefutable results. It's more than just something like, a paintball thing where everyone has fun. And don't get me wrong, there's a huge place for that, for people to just go out and socialise. But with our programs, they actually learn something valuable that they can take back to the workplace. Mm-hmm. So once we've hooked them in with that interest, then we tell them about our unique part of our program, and that is actually that our teachers are horses.
Yes.
So, if you've got their interest that way, then it's like, oh, okay. And then, of course, we do have case studies and testimonials from clients to show that it actually does work.
Yeah.
We also like to sometimes invite people along for a little taster, because it is based on experiential learning, and the best way for experiential learning is to experience it, of course.
Yes.
So sometimes that's the way in, to say, well, come along and have a try.
Yep.
And then that's the best selling point of all.
Okay, good. Now, when people come in, do they come in with preconceived ideas about what it's going to be and then it's not, or what happens there?
So are you talking about the participants?
Yes, the participants and the people that are organising the program. So the participants might come in and say, oh, beauty horses, we're going to ride, and then they don't. Or the people who have organised the program and liaised with you, they might say, oh, this is brilliant because one session is going to change all of our people completely. And,
And yes, and
It
of
does.
course, we all know that one session of anything doesn't
Sure.
change people completely.
It's a
They may
taster,
have-
isn't it? You know, that one session is the taster. Yep.
It's a taster, and then, but your corporate people don't tend to send the same team back and back and back.
Uh-huh.
So what you want to do then is have so much of an impact in that one session that they will send different teams back to you. So it's quite something outside of the box, say, for a corporate team to come in to an equestrian property, and it's quite out. It's really, because we say outside the boardroom or outside the office. It's thinking outside the square. It's really, they arrive and, oh gosh, we're outdoors. There are horses. There are brightly coloured props around. All this sort of thing. Oh, and a lot of people are quite intimidated by the horses because horses are very large when you're not used to them. So there's all those sort of almost confronting aspects of it when people rock up. And you're right, people do have different expectations. A lot of people see horses, and even though ours are in the arena waiting for our clients and have not a skerrick of tack on them, they have a halter, but other than that, people are like, so when are we riding? It's like,
yes.
Oh, okay, well, there's, So you're right, people do have that expectation, even if they've been told that there's no riding, which they have been.
Yep.
And as for the people organising it, usually I think that their expectations are met, and they're not. I'd like to think I don't over or undersell the programs to people, so that I'm hoping that their expectations are met. We provide, the people themselves give feedback and their own experience on what they learned. So the organisers can see firsthand that it has had an impact on the people who've come and participated.
Good. Okay. Jane, there's so much to take in. It is a big area, and it's a big area, I think, that's a growing area. Have you found that, that people have got more awareness now? Like we talked about, people who didn't know, but just in general, people have more awareness of the benefits?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. But you were very right to raise that point before about the difference with therapy, because I will receive phone calls where people will say, I'm inquiring about your equine therapy program.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can't clunk myself on the head and go, no. But as soon as I explain what it's all about, they're actually quite, we are actually what they were looking for. They just thought the term was equine therapy.
Okay.
So they weren't expecting me to be a therapist or to have a therapist here as well. They just thought that was the term for it.
Okay.
And if they were, then I'm not the right person for them. So, and that's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
And there are plenty of fantastic practitioners out there who do actually equine therapy. So, and there's quite a lovely community of people across all the different modalities of equine-assisted learning and the therapy and all the different things. And we within an area we can refer to each other. So that's nice too.
If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look, horsechats.com. Now, Jane, have you got a book that you could recommend, something along the lines of the equine-assisted learning preferably?
Well, yes. There's actually a book. It's very recently been published by a man called Franklin Levinson. Now, he's not an equine-assisted learning or therapist person, but his pearls of wisdom are just amazing. The book is called Trust and Horses. Not trust and, but the letter N, Trust and Horses. And it's just fantastic lessons about working with horses and also what we can gain from horses. So while it's not directed at equine-assisted learning specifically, I've taken a lot from it, and I absolutely love the lessons in it. Okay, that's brilliant. What are you looking forward to now? You're obviously expanding your program and getting more people in. Is there anything else that you're going along? You've stopped competing now, or you're still competing? What's happens there? I'm still trying to juggle everything. Still working it all out. Okay. Yes, that's right. Anything different? Any major things that are different in the next 12 months or 2 years? Yeah, in the next 12 months, yes, we're going to be launching more of our Authentic You Women's workshops.
Okay.
So as we were saying, the life skills programs are just perfectly suited to, well, our main markets would be the youth market, and then the corporate team building leadership type market, but also the women's market.
Yep.
And we have this beautiful new program that's really just tailored for women. And being a woman myself,
Yes,
in my 50s with a family and everything, it just appeals to me so much to be working with other women, to just find our true authentic selves. So I'm very excited about these programs that we'll be launching.
Good. All right, now we're going to talk about contacting you, because I'm sure that there are going to be people who would like to contact you. It'd be horsechats.com/Jane Hemingway-Mohr, or even if you just go to horsechats.com and search for Jane, I think you'll find her.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, but before we do that, and I'll get a direct contact number and details as well, if you were going to summarise your philosophy with equine facilitated learning, what would you say just in a couple of sentences?
That's a really good question. I think it would be, the main thing is to be, the whole thing that I've learned about myself with doing equine assisted learning is just being authentic. If you're your authentic self, you get a lot, that radiates itself to the world as well, and people are drawn to that. Okay. But animals are too. So I think the horses have taught me to be more authentic, and that would be the main thing that I've got out of it. And to think that I'm making a career out of being authentic is just really a wonderful thing, and I have my horses to thank for that.
Yep. All right, what about your contact details, Jane?
So it's www.leadingedelifeskills, but all as one word, .com.au.
Perfect. And you'll have your phone number and email from
Everything
there. Yeah.
They contact us through there. Yeah.
All right. Look, Jane, thanks very much for coming today. Love to talk to you again sometime soon. I'm sure you've got...
Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, that's okay. Look, I love getting people on the show because it's great learning for me too. You know, I just want to keep expanding and keep learning and keep growing within this whole horse industry. I think there's so much to learn about horses. Yes. Yeah, it's about horses and about the industry. So thanks very much for coming, and we hope to catch up with you again sometime soon.
Thank you. It was great.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.